Conduct in the City Council chambers. Rules of decorum for the public. Members of the audience shall not engage in disorderly or boisterous conduct, including the utterance of loud, threatening, or abusive language, clapping, whistling, stamping of feet, or other acts which disturb, disrupt, impede, or otherwise render the orderly conduct of the city meeting infeasible. A member of the audience engaging in any such conduct shall, at the discretion of the presiding officer or a majority of the city council, be subject to ejection from the meeting per Government Code Section 54954.3C. Removal from the council chambers. Any person who commits the following acts in respect to a meeting of the city shall be removed from the council chambers per Government Code Section 54954.3C. A, disorderly, contemptuous, or insolent behavior towards the city council or any member thereof, tending to interrupt the due and orderly course of said meeting. A breach of peace, boisterous conduct, or violent disturbance tending to interrupt the due and orderly course of said meeting. Disobedience of any lawful order from the mayor, which shall include an order to be seated or to refrain from addressing the city council, and any other unlawful interference with the due and orderly course of said meeting.
I will call to order the Taft City Council Successor Agency, our joint regular meeting, Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023, at the City Hall Council Chambers. The City of Taft council meetings are being held in person with full capacity seating and are live streamed at https://www.youtube.com/user/City of Taft. Public comment can be made in person and also can be received per the following. Written comments may be dropped off in the drop box in front of City Hall. Comments may be emailed to the city clerk at cityclerk@cityoftaft.org. May be made by phone to the city clerk's office at 661-763-1222. Public comments will be accepted up until 5 p.m. the day of the meeting. Any comments received will be read into the record. And now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes,
Councilman.
please join me. Pledge allegiance. Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very much. We will lead the invocation.
Will you pray with me? Father in heaven, we're so thankful for all that you've blessed us with. We're so thankful that we've been blessed with the rain that we've had this year. And Father, we just pray that in all that we say and do, your name will be glorified, that we'll always remember that we serve you and Jesus Christ. Father, we pray that you be with us tonight as we make decisions that impact this community. Help us always to remember who we serve. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you. May we have a roll call?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer.
Here.
Councilmember Bryant.
Here.
Councilmember Waldrop.
Here.
Councilmember Chavera.
Here.
And Mayor Knorr is absent. He is speaking in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania to the American Rural Energy Coalition Conference, and he is representing Kern County and Taft at that event.
Very good.
Excellent. He always does a good job. He's a very good articulate speaker. Today we have 3 proclamations, and we'll start off with the 54th anniversary of Municipal Clerks Week. And I'm going to read that proclamation myself. proclamation declaring April 30th through May 6th, 2023, the 54th anniversary of Municipal Clerks Week, whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of the local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of governments and other levels. And whereas the municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality in rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas the municipal clerk continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas the most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishment of the office of the municipal clerk. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Taft does hereby formally recognize City of Taft local office of the municipal clerk, and accordingly hereby declares April 30th, May 3rd, 2023 as Municipal Clerk Week, dated the second day of May 2023, signed by Mayor Dave Knorr and us council members. I would like for all of us, and with our city clerk, Yvette, we'll go down here and have a little photo op, and I think we all should participate in that, because, yep, because we do have a great woman here, and we all know that, and she duly, rightfully be recognized for what she does for our city.
Hope you ate your Wheaties today, these are heavy. Yeah. I guess they will be set them right here.
I think they should be all right there. You want to be here with us?
Doug, one in the middle.
Be better to center it with the city seal in the background.
I first came in, I thought it was myself.
Okay, here we go, ready, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, make sure that's okay. All right, that's good, one more. Ready, Craig, can you step out? Oh, boy. Yeah, I didn't notice him at first. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
And you know, okay,
Got that
we'll
wide
get
angle
one
lens.
for me with the proclamation. I'm gonna put it on the CCAC's website.
Sure.
We're allowed to share those.
You need to go first anyway. I'm such a klutz.
Thank you, Yvette.
I can follow them and I'll come back after, but I really like it.
All right, here we go.
All you guys back down here.
Is it serious, really? I don't mind. All right,
One more picture.
Yes.
you got it.
Oh, all of us?
Doug said his is copyrighted.
We're all
Hey,
going down?
Give photo credit to the Midway Driller.
Up here?
We're gonna put down here.
Oh, down
That's
here.
down here?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I can share my picture. Yeah, here, we'll do it with the proclamation here, after I broke the microphone. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we'll call that good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'll strong arm.
Thank you.
Keep this so it doesn't block you.
No.
Is this okay then?
Thank you.
Any of the council members would like to say a few words about our city clerk? I know we can. There's so many words we can say.
Right, she knows we appreciate her. We can't run without her. You know, she's like a mother hen. You know, I know for a fact that she's either texting us or emailing us and giving us all the reminders when we need them. So I personally appreciate it. Thank you.
Ron, anything?
It's real hard to get that special person that comes through when we're all mess up, and she is a jewel. Thank you.
You know, there's a very specific reason why we put it out to the voters of the city of Taft when we appoint you, right? We've been blessed and lucky to have you for as long as we have, and God willing, we'll be able to keep you as long as you'll stay. I would be remiss not to also recognize Darnell.
Yes.
And so, you know, when Yvette's not here, she's trained a very capable and diligent backup. And so I want to say thank you to Darnell as well. But Yvette, we love having you here, and thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Yvette, all I can say is thank you for all that you do, and very appreciative. And thank you for, a lot of people don't know that Yvette is also the president of the Chamber of Commerce for this year. And so she has a lot going for her. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay. The next proclamation will be the Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week. Josh Bryant?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's my distinct honor and privilege to recognize not only our local police department, but law enforcement officers everywhere, as we issue this proclamation declaring Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week 2023. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which that date falls as Police Week. And whereas Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week pay tribute to the local, state, and federal law enforcement officers who serve and protect us with courage and dedication. These observances also remind us of the ongoing need to be vigilant against all forms of crime, especially to acts of extreme violence and terrorism. And whereas the dedicated members of the Taft Police Department, Kern County Sheriff's Department, and California Highway Patrol play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Taft and the West Side. And whereas the city of Taft wishes to honor all peace officers who, through their courageous deeds, have lost their lives and have become disabled, in the performance of their duties. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of Taft does hereby formally recognize all peace officers for their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities and their dedication to our community. Accordingly, the City Council hereby declares May 15th, 2023 as Peace Officers Memorial Day and May 14th through 20th, 2023 as National Police Week, dated the second day of May and signed by the mayor and the 4 council members. Mayor Pro Tem?
I think we should.
Well, I'm happy to do it, but I just want to make sure. You're leading the rodeo, so. Think we're all gonna come down there?
One down. We're not gonna do the whole thing, are we gonna? I'm good with it. Craig, this time, you're welcome.
Oh, we're going again?
Mercy. Mercy. Yes, sir. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We got time. We got time.
Short agenda.
We got time. Appreciate it. I'll come to you, sir.
Way to go, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Be careful. I wish you well.
Yeah. Okay. We can those rings a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay, let me make sure
We're
I
gonna,
see it.
how do you want to start? You tell us, I don't think you
I
can start.
prefer that you give it to the troops.
You got it?
Okay.
All right.
But you won't be able to go in there. We'll get Carlos over here. Norto, take it half a step back. There, now we can see Gomes. Just a second.
We gotta have him in there.
How's my hair?
That's good. That's good.
Okay, here we go, on the count of 3. Ready, 1, 2, 3. And
Arch will bleed.
take one more. Here we go. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Okay, there we go. Thank you, gentlemen. And ladies. There you go.
We're all gonna say a few words. Good thing you got so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Waldrop, yeah, I can say a few words to the officers?
Oh golly, where would we be without them? I mean, golly, their hands are tied and they still try. You know, it's not fair, but we're behind you 100%, and hope everything works out for you guys as well as it does us. Thank you for everything.
Councilman Bryant?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. You know, how many jobs are as mentally, physically, and emotionally taxing as being a law enforcement officer, right? And then also compounding that as being a law enforcement officer in a small town in a small department, smack dab in the middle of California. It's tough, to say the least. And I think we try to do our best to say thank you as many times as we can. And this is no different. It's just even probably elevating the game a little bit. But the chief, when he gives his report every month about the activity that you guys do, I think the stat I came up with last month, was you guys were taking care of an incident once every 36 minutes. I mean, when people say, well, what are they doing? That's it. When you're responding to an incident, I mean, half of those at the very least, or not more, are officer-initiated incidents. Every 36 minutes, where do you find time to get to the office? Where do you find time to write the reports? I mean, it's remarkable. And so thank you guys, not only to you, but to all your troops, that share the squadron with you guys, the people that came before you, and the people that came after you. We will always, in the city of Taft, appreciate our law enforcement. So thank you.
Councilman Shabara?
Yeah, thank you. So, we live in a society that is making things a lot more difficult for you guys. There's a lot more crime, and it's a lot more dangerous out there. And even with all that, you guys still choose to become officers for your own reason, and primarily to protect us. And so I appreciate you guys for making that decision and taking care of not only my family, but the community's family. So thank you for your services.
Thank you. I want us, I know the mayor would like it that way, and all four of us to be with you with the photo op in appreciation. That's why we all came down, to appreciate what the work you do. It's a thankless job. I know the citizens of our city appreciate you, what you all do. And, you have it tough. It's not gonna get any better. Things are gonna get a little worse before it gets better. Hopefully the pendulum will swing till we get true justice back in our society. Until then, God bless you for what you guys do, and we all appreciate it, and that's all I have to say, and thank you again. Okay, the next proclamation be Building Safety Month.
All right, so the proclamation declaring May 23 Building Safety Month. Whereas the city of Taft is committed to recognizing our growth and strength depends on the safety and economic value of the homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our citizens, both in everyday life and in the times of natural disaster. And whereas our confidence in the structural integrity of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code of Council, a United States-based organization that brings together local, state, and federal officials that are experts in the building environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, work, worship, and play. Whereas Building and Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code of Council to remind the public that the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings that are essential to America's prosperity. Whereas Building and Safety Month raises awareness about the importance of safe and resilient construction, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, energy conservation, water safety, training the next generation, and new technologies in the construction industry. Now therefore be it resolved, the City Council for the City of Taft does hereby declare the month of May 2023 as Building Safety Month to be celebrated by the City of Taft, its employees, residents of all ages, and businesses throughout the community. Signed and dated this 2nd of May by Mayor Dave Noer and the rest of us City Council members.
Thank you. You like to Good.
But you get to plan for green space in which we can plant flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Here, Carlos, have Martin record with 3 pictures at the same meeting. Here we go. Okay. Here we go. On the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it. Now I know what the red carpets feel like.
Thank you, Councilman Shamar.
Absolutely.
And thank you too, Mark Staples, for accepting the proclamation. Next, we'll have citizens' requests we have here. Whoa, got 3 of them up here. So therefore, I gotta do a little bit more reading. The citizens' requests and public comments. Comments are to be received and stated with the above policies. This is a time and place for the general public to address the city council on matters within its jurisdiction. State law prohibits the council from addressing any issues not previously included on the agenda. Council may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting, so please limit comments to 5 minutes. And the first one is Dr. Kathy Orrin from the Taft Chamber of Commerce.
I think I need this. This magically stays up here most of the time, doesn't it?
The bill's coming.
Okay. It is my pleasure to meet you tonight and to talk about the things that have been going on. Last Thursday, we had the State of the City, and many of you were there. It was very successful. We had around 175 people, and we heard from Dr. Lori Slavin, Dr. Jason Hodgson, and Brock McMurray from our school systems here in town. And then on the energy side of the program, we heard from our supervisor, Zach Scrivener, our mayor, Mayor Knorr, and Joe Ashley, who is in charge of government and external affairs for CRC. So we learned about education, things that are happening, things that have happened since COVID, and the work that we have ahead of us in education. But we learned all in all, we are in a very good place. When we stack up against other places in the United States, we are doing very well. Our attendance is high. We still have a problem with some chronic absenteeism, and that's very standard across the United States. But we are, would you say, Josh, our attendance is holding well? I mean,
I would say our enrollment overall, when most
our enrollment.
most districts in the state are seeing an exodus, and we've actually seen quite the opposite here.
Yeah, that speaks very well for Taft High. So that was very successful. We were very happy to do that. I think we've outgrown the transit center patio, unfortunately. I just want to shout out to the city. They are always wonderful to work with, and we thank them so much for the help they give us. Chelsea Harlan did a great job helping us set up tables and chairs and knowing how to place them for the optimum occupancy. And Bobby, and I don't remember Bobby's last name because he is in my phone, and I don't have my phone with me. But they are wonderful, and of course, Chris Krejci is awesome to help us out with everything. So we are always in a good place when we are working with a city, and we thank you for that. Also, I have to do a shout out to Taft High, who always does us proud as far as giving us like a stage and our sound system. We appreciate that also. On the next day, Friday, we had the welcome reception for the Hall of Fame, the Taft High Hall of Fame, and that was at Best Western. We want to thank Best Western for giving us that space. But the most exciting part of that, I have to say, was Carlos's barbecue. When you asked Carlos to bring charcuterie, I didn't envision a platter that was 6 feet long or wonderful. It was absolutely beautiful, and Carlos, thank you so much. If you want to get a better idea of what happened, look on Facebook. It will give you beautiful pictures of that. He barbecued in the parking lot of Best Western,
And the gentleman that was in charge that night of Best Western was like, I said, I hope all of this is, oh, he said, just keep it coming. This is fine. Not a problem, not a problem. So the next morning, this is a reception for our 4 Hall of Fame recipients and their families, and it was very well attended. The next morning, we had breakfast on site in the quad at Taft High. This is the part that people that are going into the Hall of Fame love, because it reminds them of school, but then it reminds them of how blessed we were and still are. And Barry Jameson took them in one of the limo golf carts all over the place, showing them a tour. And again, Carlos helped us with breakfast. Carlos provided breakfast. You and your students, right?
That's correct.
Carlos. It was beautiful. People are so impressed, and we're very lucky to have Carlos on our committee. So that was done, and then, of course, Saturday night was the induction ceremony, and it was very nice. The people that were inducted are Mary Ann Snyder McClellan, who has been a very interesting lady. Most of her life, she had some obstacles to overcome, but she did that in fine shape, and now she likes to fly around the country in the airplane that she built. She's quite something. Ron Pierce, who has every black belt known to man in every kind of martial arts form there is, and just a delightful person. And when he walked into the reception, I said to him, so which belt are you wearing tonight? And he said, tonight I can't even see my belt. That tells you he's a good guy. And the third person was Casey Twisselman, the judge. I have been in Casey Twisselman's courtroom before, and when I would speak to him, I always felt like I needed to sit up straighter because he scared me to death. I was on a jury. I hadn't done anything bad, but what a delightful man. And when I called to ask him if his daughter, one of his daughters, both of whom are very vocally, artfully endowed, they're just gorgeous singers. And I had heard that, and I asked if one of them would be willing to sing the Star Spangled Banner. He said, no, they're not going to be around, but I'll sing it. I'm like, really? He said, oh yeah, I sing in a men's chorus. I know how to sing that. So I'm like, okay. But because it's Casey Twisselman, I thought, okay, he can't be lying. I mean, he's a judge. So he started singing, and it was glorious and incredible. And then he continued singing to sing Happy Birthday to Carlos. That was pretty cool. Carlos?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
That was nice
you're
of you.
welcome. That's the least we could do. And then we gave a posthumous Hall of Fame induction to Roger Lewis Miller, which his son Garrett delivered a wonderful speech about him. Told us a lot about him that we hadn't known before. So that was a glorious evening. We were very, very pleased that that happened. So we've been very busy. Coming up, the next thing is, I'll just put a plug in for Kiwanis. On Thursday, there is a Kiwanis-sponsored, oh dear, what is it called? The Day of Prayer. And that is 6 o'clock in the morning over here at the flagpole. And if you want to eat breakfast, there will be a breakfast provided for, I believe, $15. And you need to see a Kiwanian other than me because I have no tickets. But there will be there are tickets being sold for that. So that's Thursday. We have a carnival hitting town on the 18th. And this is a carnival that has been provided or summoned to the Rails to Trails by our Oil Dorado Committee. And this is a way of just keeping people in their heads, you know, we've got Oil Dorado coming, don't forget Oil Dorado. And they will be up on the Rails to Trails for about 9 days. They will arrive in town on the 18th, but they will be on the Rails to Trails the weekend of the car show. And the car show is the 20th. We all know about Taft car shows. They're usually a lot of fun. We have a DJ that's scheduled. We have cars that are coming in daily. And that will, check-in time is 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday the 20th. And then we will be finished with all of our award giving by 2:30. That will give you plenty of time to do something else later in the evening, and you're going to hear more about that coming up afterwards. So we are busy. People that say they don't think there's anything to do in Taft are living under rocks. So I thank you for this chance to share, and I hope to see you at some of the next things we have planned.
Thank you, Kathy. Anybody out there feels bored, nothing to do in Taft, get hold of the Chamber of Commerce and see Kathy, and she'll steer you the right direction. Thank you, Kathy. Our next public comment is Renee Adamo to speak about the Derby at the Fox.
So Kathy gave me a good segue here. I'm with the Westside Recreation and Park District, and we have a fabulous Fox Theater. I'm sure a lot of us have been involved in getting that off the ground. They say that, it takes a village to raise kids. Well, it takes a village, and we have a wonderful village here that's worked hard on the Fox Theater. It is beautiful. It's running well, and if you haven't been there, please go, and I have a good reason for you to go. On May 20th, we are actually holding a derby inside of the Fox Theater. And on the big screen, we'll have the horse races. They'll be old horse races, but good horse races, not black and white, not that old. So they're colored. They're going to be on the big screen. And also in there, we're going to have the band, the Soda Crackers. So the Soda Crackers are going to play, and then we'll do a horse race. And we have some VIP passes. We've put together a package for businesses, and it is eight VIP passes. They get 16 drink tickets, approximately 2 drinks a person, or if somebody doesn't want to share. And then there's 26 raffle tickets, too, that you get. As you win the horse races, we have play money. You will have a betting slip. You'll fill out your betting slip. You'll bring us your money. We'll write you in. You'll go watch the race, and then you'll come back, and you'll win raffle tickets. You'll take the raffle tickets. We have we're right around 30 raffle prizes. We have a 3-night stay at Oceano and a 12-bedroom Airbnb. We have dinners. We have gift cards. We have a Visa card. We're still working. So it's going to be a really fun night. It's $45 a piece, but for y'all, I'm going to get you started. We have a box. There is 10 VIP passes. So we hope you come. Bring your spouse, bring a friend, bring a daughter. No, only if they're 21 or over. It's a 21 or over. We will be selling alcohol, and we'll also be selling sandwiches and kind of snack bar food. All of that money is going to stay there at our theater. Some of this money is going to go just to our general fund that does a little bit of everything. I also have the opportunity and so much fun. I get to work with the seniors, and so we call them active adults and 50 or older, because we want you to able to bring your parent. And on Tuesday, we're going to go to Wind Wolves and have a picnic and see what's out there. And so this money goes to that too, and we keep it in our community. So I hope you guys can make it. I'm going to leave you some flyers if you have some businesses that would like to do the business package. We're going to do advertisement on our race book. We'll have race books. We're going to be as official as we can be. So I don't know what that means, because I don't, but we're going to make it happen. And the biggest thing is just to have fun. Come and enjoy yourself, no pressure, just a good time. So I hope you guys can come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. I went to one, more than one, in the Pearl Valley called the Pearl Valley Swiss Club, and they do the same thing every year. It's a very successful fundraiser, and it's a lot of fun, like you said. There that you can win money, and I think the grand prize is like $10,000 on the best whatever. But there's a very big, and they have a lot of prizes, like you said, trips and TVs, all kinds of different things. But it was a lot of fun, and watch the horse racing. You can buy the horse, you can bet on the horse. It is a lot of fun. If people have never been to a horse race, come to the Fox on the 20th. and experience it, because it'll be a lot of great fun for the community, and it's supporting the community, and supporting our theaters and all the other programs goes along with it. So I encourage everybody to go. I appreciate you guys doing that. Thank you. Anybody have any comments or anything?
Yeah, Renee, you've been doing this type of stuff for the rec, not necessarily the horse racing piece, but, I mean, we don't have an escape room in Taft, but we did when you had the idea to bring it here. We don't have a horse racing track in the city of Taft, but we do during this event. You've been doing this stuff for decades, and I'm sure you've gotten this over and over, and I pray that it keeps coming, but I just want to say thank you. I mean, you're a jewel when it comes to adding those types of things that add value to the community, so thank you very much.
Thank you. It's the rec. The rec supports me and my crazy ideas. That's what makes it happen. Thank you.
Any other comment?
Yeah, just to build off what Josh says, being creative just to get the community to do things, to be more involved, raising funds so you guys can put on more activities for the community. We do appreciate this. We really do. It's important that we as a community don't stay stagnant. And just helping us get involved with you guys being creative is super important, and we appreciate that.
We're lucky to have a little town like the city of Taft and the surrounding area, to have all these volunteers and people with great minds, and there's a plenty to do here. Thank you for what you do.
Okay. Now we're going to go on to, one more. Tony Winter from Bakersfield.
First off, hello, council and attendees. My name is Tony Renteria. I am the program manager for the Kern Active Transportation Alliance. Also, thank you for giving me 5 minutes. I'm used to 2, so thank you. I appreciate that. So, as we all know, May is Bike Month, and we'll be having a couple events in your community. So, the first one will be Bike to Work Day. That's on May 22nd. We're going to meet up at Westside Recreation and Park, and we're going to end at Taft City Hall. We're going to begin that at 7:30 a.m., and we're going to end by 8 o'clock. And I urge you guys to all come out, please. This is also for the community. Excuse me. This is also for the community. If people don't have bikes, you can reach out to me at tony@bikebakersfield.org, and I will bring you a bike. I really want you guys out there. Our second event will be and that's the same day, on May 22nd, at 3 p.m. That will be at the Taft Branch Library. We're going to have a bike rodeo for the kids. What that entails is bike safety and giving out free helmets and lights. So those two events in your town, I think, are going to be a pretty big deal, and really in the sense of safety and being aware on your streets. That's with the Kern Active Transportation Alliance, working a lot with the Kern COG, Bob Smith, Cindy Parra. Really, that's our main goal, is to make sure everybody's safe in your town. When we started this Kern Active Transportation Alliance, and this is a collaboration with CalWalks. Our intent was, again, to go to 13 different communities within Kern County. So, Taft, just to name a couple, Taft, Delano, Shafter, Lamont, McFarland, and so on. Again, our intent was to make each community more or less that much greater, in the sense of it's already a great community, but make it even stronger, and hopefully making it an easier way for alternative transportation in your community. And if I could say a little bit more, meeting Orchel Crier with our initial stakeholder meeting months ago, just a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate you coming to that our first stakeholder meeting. Orchel,
You're welcome.
Thank you. And so pretty much that's all I really have to say. It was a nice ride out here. It got me out of the office, so I appreciate you guys.
So did you ride your bike to Taft?
No. That was 60 pounds ago. 60 pounds ago I would have, but no, we have a nice community, we have a nice truck, a little Tundra for our, for what we do. So it's a nice one. A couple years old, but it definitely has its amenities, so.
Especially now as it starts to get a little warmer. Obviously, it's cooler this week, but.
Oh, trust me. Yeah, I mean, and I live downtown right next to where I work, so I know I need to get on that bike. There's no excuses, so.
I was kind of surprised when you said the 3 p.m. piece wasn't bike home, the bike home event, right? 'Cause you had bike to work at 7:30 and bike home at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, no, 3 o'clock will be the bike, 3 o'clock will be the rodeo, but 7:30 to 8 will be, yes. But I
it's
see,
gonna be the right time.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, we could figure it out. You know what I mean? We're, being a nonprofit, we're shooting from the hip, so. And also, I do have, bike maps, some flyers and my cards if anybody would like them. Yeah, and that's about it. I appreciate having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you again. So much to do. Now, next up is a council statement, none action, and Councilman Waldrop.
If Kathy Owen would really remember the night I interrupted her accidentally, I turned my phone down before I walked up here, and when they were giving the proclamation to the police department, my phone was vibrating, but it wasn't ringing, and I thought of Kathy. And you know who was calling me on that phone last time when I interrupted you? A local girl that went through school as Hazel Barron. Don't know if anybody remembers her. She has wrote a book. In fact, I got mine in the mail yesterday. I haven't had a chance to read it. It's called 10 Lost Children. And she goes by, evidently, her married name before. I don't think she's married now, but Ann Haskins. And she's going to pick a date to come to Taft because she grew up here. She came here from Alabama. I think she went to Maricopa first and ended up in Dusting Acres. If you go through Dusting Acres, that big old two-story on the right as you go through. I remember because I knew the boy, Mark Barron. There was 10 of them, children. And anyway, the book is something like 400 pages. And it's, like I said, it's called 10 Lost Children. And I just wanted to make everybody aware of a local child that grew up here that is doing real good. And she will come out from Oklahoma. And we're going to get a signing time to do. And it'd be kind of neat to praise her for it. So I'll get more information as we go, but I thought that was great. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Waldrop, Councilman Bryant?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I'm going to give some reports out on a couple events that happened since the last meeting, but I wanted to send a shout out again to Westside Waste Management and not only them, but also everybody that volunteered their time and participated. On the 22nd of April, they organized the annual Bob Hampton Memorial Community Cleanup. And I don't know if folks realize how much stuff they got off the ground around town. I was there probably 6 or 8 times dropping off loads of different stuff. And those folks were there working happily all day long. I'm sure they're getting paid, but they didn't have to do that outside their normal work day. But it's something that the folks at Westside Waste Management have continued to do, and I'm very happy. I'm sad for the fact that we've got to do those sort of things, but I'm happy that they're willing to facilitate. So I want to send a thank you to Max and all of his folks, Tisha, and everyone else there. I'm in trouble for even saying a name now because I'm going to forget somebody. But thank you to those folks because it's very much appreciated on our behalf, everybody here on the West Side. So the 20th, a couple days prior to that, was pretty busy here in the city of Taft. That morning, on the 20th, we hosted the quarterly business meeting of the Board of Directors for Kern Economic Development Corporation. We hosted between 25 and 30 folks at the Transit Center for their business meeting, and I want to say thank you to city staff for setting that up and working through some troubles on the front side of that. I really, really appreciate you guys for facilitating and just making the city of Taft look good, even when it was tough. In terms of the administrative piece. So I was happy to host those folks and hear a little bit of what's going on around the county from the folks who are out really doing the chambers type work on the county level. A lot of projects, especially carbon capture and sequestration, but other industrial and manufacturing type activities that they're working on. I hope and pray that more and more of those come to the west side of Kern County, but anything that comes to Kern County is good for all of Kern County at some point. In the afternoon, I was able to represent the city by way of the new appointments we did after the mayor was sworn in as the representative to the city's Special Selection Committee of the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District, which is a mouthful in and of itself. It's been about a month ago, we decided to support the candidacy of a representative from Maricopa as opposed to a representative from Wasco for a seat on the governing board of the Air Pollution Control District. And so there, basically the action, really the only action that was on the table was that action. We also approved a representative from Northern California, but nobody really knows except for the people who are in that area who that person is. So it felt a little disingenuous at some times, but it's procedural and you've got to do it. I was one of the dissenting votes when it comes to approving the representative from Wasco, who ultimately was approved, and it was dissenting because we voted to support the other guy. And so I said, at the end of the day, if we're going to see it, we're going to see it through. I want to just rubber stamp it. But I think it led to some higher level conversation in terms of what the process was like. Because I was of the understanding that we actually had 2 nominees from the South to consider. When it was reported back to me by the staff, I said, no, you only have one. Because basically the decision has been made, we're just rubber stamping it. I don't like that. If we're a governing board, then why in the heck are we approving anything if it doesn't need to be approved? You're telling me it's already done. And I don't like that. The other piece I didn't like was the idea that if those vacancies do come up, their first resource is to talk to California League of Cities to ask if the local regional League of Cities group wants to nominate somebody to sit or fill that void. And I thought, well, one, if you're not a League of California Cities members, that could be problematic because you could have representation without, or taxation without representation, right? At the end of the day, or maybe you're a member, but you don't have somebody there at that meeting because that happens from time to time. So I suggested that we consider removing that from part of the process altogether, go directly to the cities, ask the cities to go through the nomination process just like we have, and hopefully that'll be considered for future business. But I was notified yesterday after having that meeting 2 weeks ago that, sure, we'll consider it. So it doesn't seem that the time is a factor, which is very indicative of California governance as we know it today. Let's see. I believe that's all I had, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Councilman Bryant and Councilman Chavara.
Sure, thank you. So I just wanted to briefly talk about the importance as American citizens to remain informed. And that has to do with essentially the American government and the American history. Unfortunately, as Americans, we suffer from the lack of government knowledge and history knowledge, including local government. You can tell a lot by a person based on the conversations that we have with one another. And essentially in regards to these 2 items. So I prepared a list of questions which are super basic, and it's concerning or more alarming, knowing that the majority of American citizens and locals don't understand these questions. And I just wanted to share them with you. For example, how many seats in the U.S. Congress? What are the 3 branches of government? In government, what does checks and balances mean? Who is our county board of supervisors? How many are there? What county district are we in? Which county supervisor represents our district? What are the articles of federation? Who are the California senators? Who are our state legislators? What is the definition of democracy? And where did democracy originate from? What's the purpose of our Constitution? Who is the Secretary of State? And what is the responsibility to the U.S.? What is capitalism? What is the Electoral College? Who is the California Lieutenant Governor? And ironically, many of American citizens don't understand or don't know this basic information, but they believe they can tell you who the next mayor should be, who the next governor should be, and who the next president should be. And they're the ones who are teaching their children basic American history and basic American government. I'd also like to share 3 quotes with you. Knowledge will forever govern ignorance, and a people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power which knowledge gives. James Madison. We need to understand that we as citizens and as a government in any community throughout this country have no more important obligation than to educate those who are going to replace us. Colin Powell. And finally, by Sam Houston, the benefits of education and of useful knowledge generally diffused through a community are essential to the preservation of a free government. Thank you.
Well said, Councilman Chabara. Well said. As people can see, on the council, we have a very diverse way of presenting ourselves to our constituents. We all want to make things better in Taft. We have different ways of doing it. And we have many things happening here in Taft. Just look and see. We have organizations, I haven't said too much about the Taft Sportsman Club. If you're a hunter or like to shoot, we have a shooting range. They have activities every weekend, every Saturday. There's lots happening here in the outdoors part. We have service clubs here, I keep repeating it all the time, that do good in our communities, and it's all benefit our students in college and people who are less disadvantaged to help them out. We have so many things that here to make our town what it is, a great little city that has a low crime rate, a great police department, a great fire department. We have everything here, and I feel so safe here. This is my home. It will always be my home. And I just had to say that. Another thing I could give a shout out to is the Taft Petroleum Club, the oldest petroleum club in the world. Been around, the first and the original. We need to participate and help out and go there once a month. Every first Wednesday of the month, we have an industry night, and we have tri-tip, barbecue chicken, beans, salad, bread, and a little bar there. And it's a great place to talk and communicate things about politics here in our city and about the oil industry, what's happening and what's going on. There's so much education there, and I just like it when we have our Chamber of Commerce, Kathy Orrin, explain what's going on, and the West Side Rec, telling what they're trying to do, and the different council members here expressing things with the book signing on the books, and people that used to live here writing books. We have a lot going here for us, and I just think that we are blessed what we have here in our city and what is happening here, and all the things that are going on. That's all I have to say. I just want to say God bless everyone, and keep vigilant in our community for anything that you see out of the ordinary, crime or anything, report it. And that's all I have. Next is a Planning Commission report. Jerry Livingston, like you got nominated again.
Yeah, it's almost the point now where they probably should just vote for me to do it permanently. Jerry Livingston, Taft Planning Commission, Mayor Pro Tem Cryer, members of the council. We are continuing in our workshop mode again this month, where we dealt with another section of the upcoming housing element update. Our director, Mark Staples, spent some time giving us a rundown on some new requirements in the housing element, dealing with different forms of outreach, who we should be doing outreach to and what kind of outreach. Assessment of fair housing for the community, doing a site inventory, which really isn't new, but there's some new things to go with it. Identification and prioritization of contributing factors to housing availability and the lack of housing, and then goals and action programs. There's been some changes in each of those areas. As is usual, the state can't keep its hands out of local business. So I don't see this as being a particularly
problematic in the long run for the city. It's probably more work for Mark, though. So anyways, that was it for the month, and look forward to speaking to you guys again next month.
Thank you, Jerry. Department reports? Yeah. Got our police chief.
Like that on one of them. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Borchel Cryer, Councilman Josh Bryant, Councilman Carlos Chavera, and Councilman Ron Waldrop. Also City Manager Craig Jones and our clerk Yvette Mayfield. I want to read the statistics to you for the month of April in the police department. And again, people at work, we did a total incidents of 805. Calls for service were heavy in the month of April. We did 402. But again, we squeaked in that officers initiated at 403, which I love. So that tells me, I'm a statistic guy, and I've told you this many times, that tells me that the troops are out working and doing the job that we hired them for. And that makes me look good for what you hired me for. We had 49 vehicle and ped checks. We had total reports of 126. We had one courtesy report, which is like an AOD for a different department. We had felony reports of 31, general information of 39, and some miscellaneous, along with misdemeanors at 34. My favorite, when we get down to, we have total misdemeanor and felony arrests of 51. We had misdemeanor arrests at 30, and of course, felony arrests at 21. Citations, which are infractions and misdemeanors, we had a total of 62, of 31, infractions of 9, and misdemeanors of 22 for the month of April. So I just wanted to present the facts to you guys, and I just love it when we hit that officer initiated. I don't even care if it's 1 over or even, as long as we're at that number, that shows me that the troops, there's no question that the troops are out doing their job. Thank you.
Chief, for the public out there, what are the 3 biggest crimes you see, a recurrence of it, that we should be aware of and watch out for?
Well, as you said earlier, I'm not going to get to like specific crimes of Taft because, to be honest, we're a safe community. We truly are. We don't have major crimes here. Knock on wood, of course. And it's there's a reason. And one of them is the proactive of 403 officer-initiated incidents. When they're out there being seen patrolling, that puts a stop to these individuals that come to our city and think that we are an easy target. And they find out shortly, if they do pull something, that we are not an easy target. And we will go to any city, any state nearby, far-reaching of the law, that we can reach out and drag them back to the city of Taft and prosecute in Kern County. And Kern County is no joke when it comes to prosecution. Of course, hands are tied with the individual things that we were dealing with now, and laws and Senate bills and Assembly bills that are passed, but that doesn't stop us from doing our job, and we'll continue to do so. You said it and hit on it earlier, be vigilant, and that's what I ask of everyone. Like I said on the last city council, cameras, Simply Safe for fire alarms, or make sure your smoke detectors and alarms in your house are functioning correctly. Don't just let the beeping stop, pull the battery out and let it go. Replace it. It's something that'll save your life. Being vigilant is also having the cameras outside your home. This picks up the roadway, this picks up your neighbor's home, you're keeping us all safe. And they're, like I said, they're fairly cheap. And the cameras and the technology nowadays, outstanding. It doesn't take anything for one of our local guys to be seen by one of my officers, and just obviously at immediately when they see him or her, they recognize the gait, the stance, the dress, characteristics of face or a profile, and they immediately know who that is. So we know who we need to go have a talk with. So, like you said, being vigilant is the key in our city, and for the most part, we are that. Our city definitely, and the neighborhoods definitely watch out for themselves and others, and that's big here. The phone calls, obviously, reported crimes of 402, or incidents 402, that's big. I love to see the call-ins where things are going wrong or even questions about incidents. We love to have that. And that's the big part of it right there, is that the citizens are out there keeping an eye out for each other, keeping an eye out for their families. That's big in the city, and that's why this city is a safe place to live.
Thank you, Chief McMahon.
Absolutely.
Could I add something?
Excellent. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you hit it right on the nail when you said your hands are tied. And again, we mentioned earlier that our society has changed, and that unfortunately we don't have the support of the state in certain areas when it's regarding criminals. We're seeing constantly that criminals are not being arrested for certain crimes, and if they are, they're being released rather quickly. And it's not like you guys have control over that. And there's only so much that only 5 members can do to address the county and the state. But I just want you to understand is that we know this. And we see you guys dedicated to our community, and that we do support you. So thank you.
I appreciate it, sir. I appreciate it much, and so do the troops. To kind of add to that a little bit, and I don't want to toot our horn, the city of Taft, but we're fully staffed, minus 1 dispatcher right now, which will be filled shortly. Those are super tough to train and super tough to maintain. But right now in the city of Taft, it's an anomaly. We are fully staffed, and it's because this is a good place to work, and people understand that. So, proud to be here.
Thank you
One
again.
thing, just do the math. One officer initiated, a piece of activity every 33 and a half minutes of every day during the month of April. It's outstanding. I mean, it's down from May, right? Like 3 minutes. But great job.
There was a drop.
Well, there was one extra day, so
Yeah,
that's all right.
okay. Thank you, sir.
That, there's a report out that changed the way the officers can do certain things, and I'd like to get a copy of that if there's any way possible. We talked about it. You told me what the numbers were, not the number, but the,
AB 109,
Yeah.
5747.
yeah, I'd like to get something on that, so,
I have your email.
Yeah.
I'll
Would you
actually
do
send
that, please?
I'll absolutely send you that information. There's some good information out there
we
when you read it.
we
and
need to find
understand.
out how we can put it back.
Well, Carlos touched on that earlier, and it's.
I know it's gonna be tough.
It's vote. It's knowledge. It's not vote on something because it's tagged with safe schools. It's vote on something after you've read the bill.
Right.
And understand the law and know what it's actually doing and function, and how it's functioning in your city and in your community, then make a vote.
Yeah,
So it's absolutely, it's knowledge.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you guys very much.
And thank you again. Okay, next is city manager's statement.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. No statement tonight.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Do we have any future agenda requests?
On here.
Right here.
Okay. Now we'll move on over to the consent items. From 9 through 16. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by our roll call vote. There will be no separate decisions on these items unless a member of the city council requires specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate actions. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none? Number 9, the minutes of April 18th, 2023. Recommendation approved as submitted. Number 10, payment of bills totaling about $200,000. That's pretty low. But for people's public's information, if they're looking, the checks are not in order, or out of order due to the system issue, which is being taken care of. And Recommendation is approve payment of the bills. Review and adopt of a reward policy for the city of Taft. Recommendation is adopt a resolution of the city council of the city of Taft approving the issuance of $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and convictions of anyone convicted of arson and/or any crime against local properties that jeopardizes public safety and endangers lives. And find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in section 15060C3 and section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Number 12, application to the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District New Alternative Fuel Vehicle Purchase Grant Program. Recommendations, motion to adapt resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City of Taft of the City authorizing an application to the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District Public Benefit Grants Program under the New Alternative Fuel Vehicle Purchase Program, and authorizing the city manager to execute all documents and authorize the sale of 4 previously purchased plug-in vehicles." To find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in section 15060C3 and section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Number 13, street closures for the 2023 Chamber of Commerce Car Show. Recommendation, motion to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft authorizing street closure for the 2023 Chamber of Commerce Car Show." And we find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act as set forth in section 15060C3 and section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. 14, accept and notice of a resignation to the West Side Mosquito and Vector Control District Board. The recommendation is to motion to accept the notice of resignation of Roy House and instruct the city clerk office to recruit for the unscheduled vacancy. Find that the activity is not a project per the California CEQA Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in section 15060C3 and section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Number 15, approval of change order to the 2023 Police Department Interior Improvement Project per carpet replacement in the adjacent MCCF entry, administration, and lobby areas. Motion to approve the change orders in the 2023 Taft Police Department Interior Improvement Project totaling $56,312.50. And we find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in section 15061B3 and section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Number 16, approval and adoption of the City Sewer System Management Plan, the SSMP, and the City Sanitary Sewer Spill Emergency Response Plan. Recommendation, motion to adapt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft approving and adopting City Sewer System Management Plan and a City Sanitary Sewer Spill Emergency Response Plan." And again, we find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in section 15060C3 and section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Do you have any of the council members like to pull any of the what do we call it, consent calendar? Anything from the consent calendar?
No.
Not here?
None here.
Go ahead. None?
None here.
I do have one, number 11, the review and adoption of a reward policy for City of Taft. Do we need to
We did have a motion for the remaining consent.
have a motion?
I'll make the motion for the remaining consent items.
Second.
Okay. Since I brought it up, there okay, do I need a roll call? Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldrop,
Yes.
and Councilmember Chivera.
Yes.
Okay, so we open up for discussion? No?
No, that's consent, so now we gotta read that item.
Okay. The recommendation is to adopt the resolution of CA Taft to information leading to the arrest and conviction of anyone convicted of arson and/or crime against local properties that jeopardizes public safety and endangered lives. Craig?
At the April 18, 2023 City Council meeting, Councilman Member Bryant asked for this item that would offer a reward for reporting arson. Sorry. Property crimes or other felonies that jeopardize public safety, endanger lives, and lead to the arrest and prosecution of those committing said crimes. This item is to address his request in recent property crimes in the city with a focus on recent arson fires which have endangered people's lives and caused significant property damage. Staff has been in communication with Kern County Fire Department, Taft Police, and although they follow up on every lead, they share that they need the public's help and they support this policy for that purpose. Staff recommends adoption of the resolution outlining the policy and offering up to a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and prosecution of all crimes related to arson, attempted arson, and felony property damage or any other felonies that jeopardize public safety.
Okay, I brought it up. I'm all for
We need a motion.
the motion.
to discuss.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now you're good.
Now it's my comment now. Okay. Thank you. We need, I think it's great to have Councilman Bryant brought this up, and it's on the agenda. And reason I think that maybe the public should know, and I need to know more to it, is that up to 5,000. Is there increments in how like $1,000 for this deal and covered, or is it
I
different?
think the intent was a full $5,000 if the information provided to the police or the arson unit ended up with a prosecution of that said crime.
And the prosecution would be up to conviction and sentencing?
Well, that can get dicey, but I think the information leading to prosecution, which would include being convicted of a crime.
Another question I have would, in my opinion, this is an opinion of myself, would 3,000 be sufficient? Because my concern would be, I don't mind going up to 5,000, depends on the violation, I guess you want to say. But you're gonna have a lot of homeless out there, seeing that 5,000, and there'll be tattling on all of them. And I just see a concern
Well,
there.
I can tell you the point of view from the fire department and the police department. If $5,000 gets someone off the streets, even if it's temporarily, it can save hundreds of $1,000s or a life. So after discussing that with the fire department, they said $5,000 could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. So again, it's up to the city council what they decide. That was staff's recommendation, up to $5,000.
Okay, that's all the questions I had. I just want to clarify a couple of things, but it is a good program to do, because we had some issues in our city, and I believe some haven't been solved yet, and we need to get those people off the streets and set an example to those people that we are serious what we're doing. And I'd like to thank Councilman Bryan for bringing this up from our last meeting, and go forward with it. We need to do roll call on this?
I think we have other discussion item.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to kind of pass those things for bringing this up on the staff. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be a staff for considering it and even thinking of different ways we can curtail the issues we deal with on the daily in California. It's one man's opinion, but I believe that we've got the official duty and the God-given responsibility to help kind of safeguard the investments, livelihood, and well-being of our neighbors, whether that's here as city fathers sitting on the dais or as neighbors, human beings, or whatever else, however else you want to split that atom. California, as the chief had mentioned and as other folks have mentioned, has done us no favors in doing exactly that. I mean, Prop 47, if you look around anywhere today, tell me that there's a neighborhood or a school that feels safer than it did 8 years, 4 months ago. There's not one. Not in California, at least not in a gated community, right? I believe that this investment would be a win-win for everybody. You might have somebody who might consider doing something like this, now looking over their shoulder, not only for law enforcement and public safety officials, but maybe for their neighbor who's looking to cash in, right? It might curtail it that way. At the very least, when we do have somebody who kind of dives headfirst into these things and does it, we'll be able to prosecute them. We'll have solid information, because too often, I mean, Chief, you made to a call. Nobody wants to be a respondent. Nobody wants to have their name on a report, right? Well, you're going to have to do that if you want to take advantage of this program, but then we'll be able to prosecute and get these types of people off the street. And I mean, if it is, let's just say that it happens to be as, I don't know, folks are encouraged to rat out their buddies. Well, eventually all those people will be locked up and they won't have any buddies to rat out. So they'll have to rat on themselves or just not do it, right? So I think it's ultimately going to be a win-win. And we just can't sit idly by and have these decisions that are thrust upon us legislatively, whether it's, socially, whatever it might be. We can't sit idly by and then continue to complain. We've got to think of ways outside the box that can help curtail this stuff and things that are within our control to not impact our quality of life any more than they already have. We have to do these sorts of things. And when you make that kind of stand, when you have that type of resistance, it takes guts and it takes money, right? In this case, I believe we're bellying up to the bar with exactly that. And while a lot of those folks who've made these decisions might turn around and say, well, at the end of the day, they're not intended to have these consequences on communities and on citizens and on taxpayers, and that's fine. I don't necessarily disagree with them, because I don't think you go into legislation to have this type of impact on communities. But at the end of the day, the proof's in the pudding, right? Or should I say it's in the ashes? So that's all I have.
Any other comments?
No comments.
Councilman Waldrop?
No, it pretty much says it, arrest and conviction. I'm in favor.
A few
Yep.
points of clarity too. The discretion will be placed on law enforcement on the type of information they receive and the request to pay the individual. So that will lie with either the police department or the arson unit. And it's just another tool to try to help the law enforcement have someone come forward with information. And there are ways that they can remain anonymous through this process. So you necessarily don't have to go to court or anything, but you will have to provide your name to the police department and request to be anonymous.
And when you say anonymous, it means anonymous to the perp or to
Anonymous to the perp, yes, meaning you will
person
have
who's,
to disclose
accused.
who you are, obviously, to get a check.
Yeah.
But there are ways to keep your name out of the court process. So.
Well, this is a good program, and I think it's gonna be great for Taft. So we need to have
Got a motion in a second. We're ready for a call.
a motion and everything, so we just need to do a vote.
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer?
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant?
Yes.
Councilmember Waldrop?
Yes.
And Councilmember Chivera?
Yes.
Well, we come to the close of our city council meeting, and
There's a closed session item that's being
there was a closed session item that is,
pushed to next time.
right, was been canceled due. Anyway, so I will close the council meeting for Tuesday, May 2nd. Closed.